Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's topic from Sankalpa Integrated Solutions. Today's topic has been frequently asked by many when it comes to investment, whether they should invest in the city or outskirts. So we are giving a few inputs which will help you to decide where the investments of yours can be made. The first point that comes up in anybody's mind when we talk about they talk about is good location. First thing is that is the location good? Now, the definition of good location itself differs from person to person. This is a relative concept. Why we say good location is a relative concept is because for an businessman who has a shop in a city, who opens up shop at very early and closes late, could be opening up late, closing up late, or vice versa, what the case may be. Obviously, they generally prefer to stay near their establishment, near their shop or near their office, as the case may be. So for them, the good location would be nearest to their shop. It same applies to even employees who would not like to commute a longer distance. For them, the nearness to office with the support or infrastructure that is required for their family members would be considered as a good location. So here we are given a two illustrations. One, a typical view of a aerial view of a city, where you see cluster of buildings, all high rises buildings in a high dense area. To the right, we see obviously is a calm, peaceful um, locality, which is which may be away from the city limits. So we'll dwell into details as to what could be the criteria for selecting. Okay, here we come to the point of facilities. Now, when you talk about the word facilities, central facilities, we have seen many times the home buyers would like to be very near to the facilities, could be a shopping complex, could be a shopping center, could be a banks, could be uh, hospitals, hotels, education institutions, and so on and so forth. Even public transportation, metros, bus, railways in major cities where we have local trains. So, a central to facilities would be very crucial when it comes to selection of to be in a city or outskirts. We have seen in many cities is even though the in the outskirts it's far away from this point of view of facilities, there has been a great development in that local area, whether it's a school, hospital, malls, shopping complexes, banks, which is available in that area, where even the public transport is available. So even though it's an outskirts, but the development is already available, infrastructure is fully available. Now, neighborhood. This could be one of the points which has always been pointed out. There has been instances wherein the home buyer has preferred to stay in a particular area because of their friends or maybe the relatives or that way. So they prefer to stay in a particular area and not look at other options available. Similarly, there could be home buyers who can look at the profile of the neighbors. It could be typically where the entire colony is occupied or majorly occupied by a particular corporate, or it could be a particular government employee, so that that the families are already in touch or they can feel comfortable being in touch. It could also be the language. uh, there are certain families where obviously away from their hometown, they're settling down in the process, they will be more comfortable with the neighborhood who can talk their language. So these are certain points that one can consider uh, to be as a part of looking at neighborhood. Development, as I told you, was in terms of outskirts or city. every home buyer has his or her or their own priorities. When we talk about development, there are certain cities where even though they are outskirts technically, but they have got all the required development, whether it comes to schools, colleges, even universities, even most important public transportation to reach there would be a bus, metro, bus, hospitals, hotels, malls, which are already developed and available. This I'm talking about where the infrastructure is already in place. There could be certain projects which the home buyer would be like where this is going to happen in the near future. So that also will dwell upon the subject. The next point that is there is in the outskirts or in the city limits, where exactly is the house located? This becomes more important when somebody is investing in an outskirts. When you look at outskirts investment, we will look at a scenario wherein uh, the house is in a gated community, but the location from the entry gate is quite interior. So obviously, maybe a couple of kilometers they need to commute to the main road or to the road from where they need to take a public transport or other facilities. Now, for of course, this can be always been mitigated by somebody who's having their own private transport. But somebody depending on a public transport or they have to come down to the main road, the gated community or the shop or the accessibility to the shop also may be quite far away from where the project is located or the house is located in the project. So it becomes very important that home buyer also needs to consider where exactly is the unit that they are planning to buy is available. Many times it may happen that the project there are very limited unsold inventories, unsold stocks, unsold houses, properties, and the home buyer has very got limited choice, and then those available inventory may be quite inside the project or very far away from the main entrance process or where entrance gate is there. Now that's where we talk about the house itself. Now there are two things to this subject. One, as we talked about in the previous thing, was the actual house location. Maybe the tower is located quite deep, maybe 2 kilometers from the gate. So and if somebody is not having the transport, possibly they need to walk down. There may be some internal transport system developed, but those are limited projects where those type of internal transport vehicles are available. Now, when you talk about this subject of house itself, now the point here is when the house itself, how is it constructed? In outskirts or in city limits, how the house itself is constructed, what type of quality of construction is there, what type of amenities has been provided within the flat, what type of quality of electrical fittings or maybe other fittings in the particular house. A lot determines on that because if a house is properly built, obviously there are many advantages. One, in terms of if the investor is trying to stay himself, or they are trying to look at uh, maybe renting it out, maybe looking at an investment for selling. So for all these things, the house itself becomes a criteria, because when we talk about investors who are investing as a second home in the outskirts and they are staying in a city, there's a less chance that they would try and relocate there because of maybe they have been staying there for 20, 30 years or so on and so forth. But what really becomes important is that when they're looking at an outskirts, these are the points that needs to be looked at whether it's worth making that investment. Now we have been seeing a lot of things, lot of discussions on work from home since March this year. This is March 2020. Well, here when we talk about work from home, this has been one of the very new emerging trend where which was not anticipated by the home buyers even as early as 2 3 years before. So there have been a lot of home buyers who have invested in anything where maybe a studio apartment or a 1 BHK or a 2 BHK. Today are finding it difficult because if there are four members in the family with the parents with mother father in job and two children also whatever they are into study, all the four of them are online. They're all working from home, each of them having their own laptops, and mobile phones, and each of them need to talk. Each of them need to be in communication with their schools, or as well as uh, their offices. This poses a great difficulty in terms of management uh, of work from home concept. So now there has been emerging need for home buyers to look at a couple of aspects. One is modifying their existing house in terms of making it more suitable for work from home, or moving out into within the larger units within the city or outskirts of the city. So these are some trends that is there. But a home buyer has to himself decide themselves about whether it would make sense for them to, make a decision in current trends of work from home, whether that's going to be a permanent or it's not going to be a permanent effect. That has to be decided on a individual to individual basis. So that's where it becomes very important. And if somebody decides, because there's going to be a financial implication when somebody moves out of their, one locality to another locality for a larger unit, it can be even outskirts of the city, considering that, work from home is permitted. Now, here the challenge, of course, being is there in terms of the technology support. We need to have an internet speed, leased in, and all those things, which may not be available at the current scenario in outskirts. The same speed that we get in the city limits may not be there. So these are the certain aspects that needs to be looked into work from home model, and the decision has to be taken considering all these aspects. Now, what could be the impact on affordable housing where property value is less than 40 lakhs? And this obviously is more related to properties outside the city limits or outskirts, as we talk about. In Of course, in smaller cities, the 40 lakhs is a decent size for looking at. But we talk about metros, it obviously goes to suburban areas or outskirts areas. So obviously, as mentioned, these are going to be outskirts properties. So I think many of the aspects has been covered earlier. Now, in the budget segment, we talk about 40 to 80 lakhs in larger cities. It can be once again a suburban side or certain areas within the metro areas where the property of around 80 lakh range is available. But still, it goes slightly outside the city limits, the main city limits, maybe into periphery area. So now coming to this choice of the budget housing, then obviously the home buyer has an option of looking at whether he would like to invest this budget housing amount within the periphery area or move into a outskirts area, considering the various aspects. Now, what at Sankalpa we can do for you, in particularly in the cities of Bangalore and in terms of Puttaparthi, we can help you in searching your house, considering the various aspects that has been mentioned, and we can help you out in zeroing down to a particular property. We'll of course help. We can guide you in terms of the right financial institution. If you're looking at an housing loan or a mortgage loan, and try and match your requirement with the various lenders' requirement, based on their profile and the financial statements and other considerations which is there in terms of your borrowing requirement and vis-a-vis the lenders' norms. For those who already have existing loans of housing loan or a mortgage loan, who would like to uh, basically reconsider their borrowing program. So in the current scenario, we see every company reducing costs. So it's very important that even in personal finances, we try and reduce our cost. So we can help you out in terms of reducing the cost of our existing home loans and mortgage loans, which obviously will result into higher savings, and which you can help out in overall reducing your could be reducing your existing EMI obligation, thereby increasing your savings, or trying to reduce the overall cost of borrowing with considering your existing loans. So for further information, you can look at our website and also contact us by email, any such clarification and any information, and we'll be more than happy to guide you and take this ahead. So I thank you all on behalf of Sankalp Integrated Solutions for your patience hearing, and look forward to get any questions which you'd like to answer. Thank you much.